Hello and welcome to Meet the Candidates. I'm Kari Steele. I'm the midday host on iHeartRadio's KOST 103.5 in Los Angeles. And today the candidate we're meeting is Alex Balekian, running for U.S. House of Representatives in California's 30th Congressional District. Dr. Balekian, welcome to Meet the Candidates.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you being here very much. Now, the point of this show, the intention is we want to know the things we don't know about you. There are things information we can access. Glendale born and raised, degree from UCLA, MD from UCSD. What a beautiful campus. I went there the first 2 years of my college career. Gosh, that's pretty. But it's math and science, and that wasn't me. But anyway, I refer to you as Dr. Balekian. So
call me Alex,
if you
please.
Don't mind, thank you. But let's start there. So you are a physician. Mm-hmm. Currently on staff somewhere? Do you have your own practice?
Yes, I have my own medical practice. I'm an intensive care physician. And in fact, I was working all last week before hitting these last 30 days for the campaign.
Hardest working man in politics and medicine, apparently. Okay, so you go through all the schooling, grueling, the residency, career well established, and you decide, gosh, this is going to be the year that I run for political office, and why not U.S. Congressman? Walk us through that. Was it a series of somethings, an idea that maybe was going through your head for years?
So the reason I'm running, and I'm still a practicing physician, but I'm running because we need better public safety. And when I say public safety, crime, homelessness, fentanyl, those issues that are important locally, I am perfectly positioned to solve them from Congress and uniquely qualified and experienced as a physician, as a small business owner, to solve it when other people haven't been able to solve it. So I told you last week I was working, a great example that I'll give, unfortunately not the first one that's happened. A woman homeless in government homeless housing, lifelong drug user with heart failure, comes in after using again, heart failure, but this time with liver failure and kidney failure. And we barely pulled her through. We narrowly avoided death, narrowly avoided kidney dialysis, got her better. The question wasn't, is this going to happen again? It's, when is this going to happen again?
Yes.
And we've wasted $26 billion on housing. Our elected officials have done so. They're focusing on the wrong problem, which is mental health, drug addiction support. And that is what I would bring to the table. And so when I saw that this seat was open for the first time in 22 years, and the top three candidates were elected officials who were in the California state legislature for the last 10 years. So crime had gotten worse on their watch. Homelessness had gotten worse on their watch. Cost of living had gotten worse on their watch. I said, no more. I'm tired of waiting for the good candidate, and I'm going to be the good candidate.
I love it. Okay. But I have a question for you.
Sure.
I feel like homelessness and drug addiction, I agree with you. We need to address the problem of addiction. But sometimes, people they lose their housing because they've fallen on hard times.
Right.
So is drug addiction a result of maybe the life that they're facing now that they don't have a roof over their head? I don't know that every drug addict becomes homeless.
Correct.
So
there, when we say the homeless population, these are not a uniform population. So there are people who, they're usually families, have, let's say, an unexpected pregnancy, have an unexpected job loss, have an unexpected illness that, they lose their job and they lose their health insurance. Those people don't want to be homeless. Those people don't want to live in the campsites on the sidewalk. They want to access shelters. They can access shelters. Usually they're living in their cars. They want to get off the street. So that is a separate group. The group that we see all the time are the ones that don't want to access the resources because of either mental illness or because their drug addiction is so powerful that they don't want to clean themselves up or can't clean themselves up to be able to access that housing. So yes, there are people who have fallen on hard times. Absolutely. Those people are not the ones that you see on the streets because they want to access the resources. They are capable of accessing those resources and they want to get off the street. It's those other ones, the more salient ones that I'm talking about, that simply giving them resources isn't going to help. We need to treat the mental illness and we need to treat the drug addiction.
And as you said, that population of people is growing. So
Correct.
It's at a critical point. And I think the candidates are all really clear on what is important to voters in this election. You mentioned several: the economy, crime, homeless crisis, reproductive rights. So I have another kind of different question. Sure. Is there anything that you think we're not paying enough attention to that we should move up our priority ladder? I feel like Cybersecurity is huge, and we don't hear from candidates that we have something that's we're working on that will be able to protect us. I get emails often about your email address has been spotted on the dark web. Your data has been compromised. This is huge. We can't protect our data. Our national security depends on it. What are your thoughts on that?
So I agree completely with you, and that's kind of a multi-pronged answer. So things that I think should be top of mind, and this will address your cybersecurity issue, is number one, a focus on education, math, and science in our schools, bringing back that glory. And number two, a focus on small businesses. So the example that I'll give you with cybersecurity, California tech companies in 2022 applied for and received 40,000 foreign worker visas because they couldn't recruit that talent locally. Why? Because our kids aren't being pushed into math and science and kind of those kinds of things. As far as small businesses goes, we are outsourcing our tech. We are outsourcing our manufacturing, our industry. The American dream is lost for many people. And if you look at it, it has paralleled inversely the number of people who are employed by a small business. 20 years ago, 54% of workers worked for a small business with 50 employees or fewer. That included people like me, who work for myself. That number has now been eroded and come down to 44%. So a majority of people are not working for themselves, are not working for small businesses. They're working for big corporations, soulless corporations. And so when you are able to have people say, okay, I'm starting my small cyber tech company, and then you're able to bring that stuff locally, then that is how you're going to guarantee our productivity, our supply chains, our cybersecurity.
And I feel like, too, we're always one step behind the bad guys, and the bad guys are more incentivized. Even if we did have our kids were educated on this path, had those skills, they're not working for the government. They're working for people that are going to pay them more money. And so I feel like maybe there's a disconnect there, too. We need to realize how important it is to recruit these people and reward them for their knowledge and skills.
Right. And as you said, incentivizing it. So I think we need to, so I would prefer a public-private partnership. So one thing that I say, going back to the homelessness, for example, there is a huge shortage of social workers and addiction counselors. So if the government said, rather than blanket loan forgiveness, for example, we are going to incentivize with loan forgiveness if you want to be an addiction counselor or a social worker and devote 10 years of your life to drug addiction counseling. We can similarly say, okay, we need tech workers. We need people with cybersecurity, and now we're going to recruit, 10,000 high schoolers to say, okay, if you want to go and learn this skill, we will then forgive your loans. So I think if you have that public partnership where the government kind of is nimble in pivoting about where we need and doing incentivization that way, I think it's better.
I think you're exactly right. And, hopefully, I feel like when people run for office, they have these great ideas, and then they get there and there's just so much gridlock, which is one of the things I also wanted to talk about. And I always get in trouble for going on too long.
No, go for it.
I really enjoy talking to you and hearing your thoughts. And I didn't know as much about you. I was watching some of your interviews with other people. I appreciate so much how straightforward you are. There's no gray area. You're asked a question and you may be giving not necessarily the most popular answer. You don't talk in circles to appease everyone. We know where you stand, and I appreciate that. And I read some things where you said that some of the things important to you as a politician, you think it's important to find common ground, bridge our political divide, foster an environment of mutual respect. I appreciate that so much. We point fingers and we not only say, I'm right and you're wrong. It's like, and I can't even believe you feel that way. I feel sorry for you. It's just gotten so bad. So how do you do those things that sound so wonderful, but we're so far away from that?
So how I've been so successful is, number one, by being a centrist. We beat out several well-known, much better funded individuals because our message was very middle of the road. A lot of people don't know this. Initially, I started my campaign as a no party preference. I grew up in a Duke-Majan Republican household in the 80s. And I still consider myself a Duke-Majan Republican, which is public safety, stay out of my bank account, stay out of my personal life. But I've been a disenfranchised Republican for the last 20, 25 years.
Okay.
And so I started out as a no party preference. And then I said, I have to play this two-party game, as you said, right? If I want to reform this rotten system, I need to play the game and do it from the inside. And the way that I've been able to win people over is I don't say, this is my opinion. I say, this is what the science says.
Okay.
So the facts say this. I am a physician. I practice evidence-based medicine. If there are no data, I will say, I don't know. We can do this or this. These are the risks and benefits. Let's make an informed decision. But otherwise, if there are data, then I will unequivocally say, this is what we need to do. It has been shown to be better than the other things. And that is why I've prevailed, because it's not, oh, this is what I think. It's, these are what the data show.
And the odds were against you and continue to be if we're just keeping it 100. And I mean, no disrespect when I say if you're not successful November 5th, and we have no idea because, again, you've done things that nobody imagined could be done. Would that be the end of your political aspirations?
So
as we wrap this up,
as far as slim chances, right? I'm an intensive care physician and I deal with slim chances all the time.
Okay.
And so what I say is okay, this is the best that I can do, and we're going to roll the dice and we're going to see what happens. If this doesn't work out, I tell people this is politics is a full-time unpaid second job that I've done. And if it went away, then my life would be easier. I'd have more time. I'd have more time for sleep. Let's see what happens. This is not a midlife career change for me. I see people who are upset. Let's see what happens with this. And if I don't win, my default of returning to medicine full-time, I love it.
Okay.
And so that is an agreeable choice for me. But if people are saying, no, we need you to keep the fight, I may do that as well.
Well, good luck to you. And I think we're all winning by having you in this race because you've got a lot of important things to say and you're giving us all a lot to think about. Dr. Alex Balekian, thank you so much for being on Meet the Candidates today.